Oh my God, guys, we're doing an unboxing today, so let's get into it. All right, so this got dropped off to my shop this last week, and before we get into this, I want to be perfectly clear. I'm not being paid by Milwaukee. I mean, hey, I would love to get paid by Milwaukee, but that's not their thing. I'm doing this for you guys. I get paid by ad revenue, so you know, if you like, share, comment, and watch this video, that supports me, not Milwaukee. We've got the new 12-inch cordless M18 miter saw from Milwaukee. They previewed this at MPS 19, which I did a video on, which I'll go ahead and put a tag up here so you guys can go check that out if you want. But I now have it, and I have the option or the opportunity to see if it is any good in a real life application. But today's video, we're gonna open it up, see what it's all about, and we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, where's my knife? Right here. This is the 12-inch M18 miter saw. I've been using the 7 1/4. I got rid of the 10-inch because I really didn't like it that much, but I do like the 7 1/4, and they kind of did a very similar design with the two rails, so that is a positive thing. Let me kind of clean this thing up and then we'll get into the video. All right, so before we get into the saw and its features, let's go ahead and see what we got in here. We got a dust collection bag. Obviously, well, not obviously, because this can be bought as a bare tool or a kit. I know the kit is 850 bucks on this kit exactly as it is 850 bucks on ACME Tool. Comes with the rapid charger, which that's all I use anymore. The old chargers, they just take forever. Assuming this is the 12 amp hour battery, high output. And then we've got the standard blade, which is a 60 tooth, so pretty good, you know, pretty good finished blade count. And then it looks like Milwaukee sent me out their premium combination 60 tooth blade, because these are a lot better, the ones with the white coating. We'll probably throw that one on first, and then obviously we've got some of the accessories, hold down clamp. Looks like we got to add a couple handles on both sides, guard for the back so that way you don't swing it into something if you're putting it on a bench or in your trailer, and some screws to put some of these things together. I'm gonna go ahead and put these things together real quickly, and then we'll go through the features on the saw and kind of my first impression as I walk around it. Here we have the final setup. This is ready to go. And what I thought I'd do is, because I kind of mentioned ACME Tools, no affiliation, no sponsorship, guys, but it's a great place to buy tools. I've bought a lot there in the past. This is what they have for the specs and features on this saw. I'm just gonna read them because in the end, that's all this is. This is an opening. I'm sharing with you guys the knowledge because I'm always asked, what miter saw should I buy or what drill should I get? So that is in the end what these videos are about, hopefully to help you guys and selfishly help myself so I don't have to answer as many DMs. But like always, if you do have questions, drop them below in the comments. So this is the M18 fuel saw, 12-inch. This is what is impressive. It has a 2x14 horizontal capacity. So you could stick a 13 7/8 LVL, or maybe, I guess you couldn't do a 14-inch eye joist long ways, but if you go to 0, oops, that's my fault. Kyle's an idiot. He put this bar on the back that protects it. I put it on backwards, so I gotta redo that. I didn't even realize there was 2 ways to go there. So PSA, guys, here on the back, when you're putting this in, you can see there's a slight bevel, and I guess somehow, I don't really understand how I did that. Oh yeah, it bevels up. That's supposed to go down probably for this exact specific reason. No big deal. I guess I didn't pay attention. I should have read the directions. All right, we're back in business. There, so if you're at 0 degrees, you can you can cross cut a 2x14. Not that anybody makes a 2x14, but some engineered products do get that large. The good thing to know is that you can rip a 2x12 no problem, and that's gonna be on a 45-degree bevel at 0 degrees on the fence. So it's got Red Link Plus, which is gonna ensure optimal performance, yada, yada, yada. It's using a bunch of technology inside to make sure that it's probably drawing more power from the battery when you need it and less when you don't. It's gonna run cooler, more powerful with the new 12-volt battery packs, once again, yada, yada. And they're claiming more than 15 amp corded power. So this is gonna outperform your corded 12-inch miter saw is what they're claiming. You're gonna get 330 cuts from a battery. I'm assuming maybe cutting a 2x4 or 2x6. I doubt that is cross-cutting a 2x12. And what I do like about Milwaukee, I love it. I have the 7 1/4, like I've mentioned. You've got the LED light, so when you're lining up your material, you get that LED shadow line. I prefer the shadow line over a laser because I feel like the lasers can get out of whack. The shadow line is always gonna be consistent to your blade. So I do like the shadow line. You've got some integrated handles that you have to add on. That's gonna help you carry it around. This thing weighs, let's see, does it tell me how much it weighs? Okay, here we go, 52 pounds. It is quite heavy, 52 pounds. This is not something that you're gonna really move back and forth a lot, probably set it up on a stand and move it around. But regardless, a corded version is not a whole lot lighter. I am a big, I'm a big believer in cordless technology when it's viable. So I think with today's technology and batteries, things like 12-inch miter saws are clearly becoming viable with cordless power. It can cut a 6 3/4 crown up against the fence. So that's pretty impressive. You can put a piece of 6 3/4 crown up against the fence and still get that cut capacity. And I think 7.5 nested crown capacity. So I'm not really sure what the difference. Oh, vertical capacity versus nested. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So 6 3/4 vertical, straight up against the fence, 7.5 if you're cutting crown, which is usually done at an angle. So, all right, so that's kind of the specs that they give you, but I'm gonna walk around the saw and kind of show you some of the things that pop out to me right away. And then maybe we'll put the battery in and make some cuts. First thing we'll look at here is the miter. We've got a 60-degree capacity on the right side, and then we can go to about 55 degrees on the left side. Like most miter saws, we've got detents, so it's gonna lock in when you get to certain numbers. It looks about to be all these big black circled numbers are gonna lock in. Actually, on this side, that appears, it locked in at 31.6, not 30 degrees. I'll be honest, tell me what these numbers mean, guys. The 22.5 makes sense to me. I don't do anything that requires a 31.6 or a 35.3, so drop that down below in the comments. But if you don't want your detent to lock on, you've got this little unlock here. So if you pull up on your lock and flip this trigger, it'll stay. And therefore now you can go to any degree without stopping at those detents. Let's say you want to be just off 0 degrees because something's not perfect on the job site, and you can lock it in and it's not going to want to slide into that detent lock. So that's, as far as that goes, that's the miter. All right, since we're talking bevel, this is a dual bevel miter saw. We've also got the back here lock that's gonna either lock or unlock so that you can rotate the saw to 0 to 45, making sure that obviously your fence is out of the way so you can maximize and get that full 45 degrees. Now you've got all the same numbers here, and I don't know if there's any detents, but it is marked 22.5, 33.9, and then your main 0, 15, 30, 45. Now if you want to go to your right, there's a button here in the back. All you're going to do is pull that out and hold it so that you can release it, and then you can go to your right side. Now, another thing while we're back here that's nice that Milwaukee did is there's not a detent per se on the plate, but they've got these little stops. So here's a 22.5 and a 33.9. If I just take the saw, boom, it's gonna stop at 22.5. Now you'll see here we've got some set screws all over back here. That is gonna be to make sure that you can adjust your saw to be perfect. I doubt it's gonna be perfect out of the box, but you never know. I've been surprised before, and I've been quite disappointed with new saws. So we'll check all that maybe in a later video or whatever. For now, we're just talking features. We've also got some stops back here, and what this is gonna do is it's going to set it up so that you can stop exactly at 45 with these set screws. I'll show you. So you see how I just went right past 45? Now if I put that there, it's gonna stop exactly at 45 if this is all set up appropriately. So hopefully you can see that. We went past about to 47 degrees. Now it's stopping at 45 degrees, and that's about it for back there. So next we've got the dual rail up here that's mounted up high. Very similar, actually, the exact same design as the 7 1/4, and it really gives you at full capacity. It's still really, really tight, so you have to really push this thing to flex it, which was a huge issue with the 10-inch, hence why I got rid of it. So good job, Milwaukee, on that. Now, one thing I really like about these Milwaukee saws is the light, which, you know, who thinks they need a light? But notice the shadow line. You see this shadow line? Now, I'm not gonna get my finger too close, so I don't want no safety Nazis coming after me. But that shadow line, it's never gonna rely on a calibrated laser. As I make a cut, that shadow line is gonna be right where my blade is. You can see that right where the blade is touching down is right where that shadow line is. So you can't mess up your cut. You can put it right on the teeth there. See that little bit where the teeth is sticking out? That's gonna be right where your cut is. So we'll do a demo here in a little bit, but I love the shadow line. So another nice feature here is they've got a stop, so you can adjust the saw so when it goes down, you're gonna hit this and it won't go to full depth. Why would you need that? Maybe you wanna make some kerfs in your wood, so you've just got to loosen this. It's like a set screw. You can tighten it down and see that? It's gonna stop out, and now you're not able to go full depth down into your material. So not always super handy for a framer, but you never know when you're gonna need a nice kerf in something. So here we've got dust collection that looks pretty minimal. Now I'm not gonna judge it yet because I haven't cut anything, but this shroud I think probably needs to be a little bit bigger, but time will tell. All right, other than that, I mean, it's pretty much a basic miter saw. We've got a slider lock, which is gonna lock it in place specifically for storage, or if you're just making straight cuts and you're not needing the slider function. We've got tool storage back here to change your blade. One thing they did here, they changed the location of the lock. So I was looking over here somewhere, usually it's on the side, but that's a nice big lock. So when you're making the change of your blade, you gotta spin it to the locking point. Most of you already know that. And let's see. So we've got the standard lock here that's gonna lock your miter saw down in the closed position. But other than that, that is the features. Let's go ahead and make some cuts. So I just wanted to do a quick comparison. This is the 7 1/4, which was released probably about 2 years ago, and it is super lightweight. I think this thing weighs half what this does, but what you'll notice is they're like an exact replica. This is like little brother, big brother, and I think that's awesome because there's no sense in reinventing the wheel if something is good. This saw performs great. The capacities are just limited, obviously being a 7 1/4, but this is what we've been using on site a ton lately. I'm assuming that we're gonna like this just as much. Setting it up on the cut hub where it's gonna set for a while is probably gonna be perfect. So I just wanted to show you the comparison, probably another $300 or so to go to this saw, but if you need the capacity, I'm assuming it's gonna be worth it, but let's make some cuts. All right, I figured the first thing we would test cut just a straight up 2x4. And what I want you to notice is, let's say I've got my mark here, got a nice little crow's foot. When I come in here with that shadow line, I'm gonna line up that crow's foot with the edge of my tooth that I can see there with the shadow line. And that's what I love about the shadow line. It literally will very easily put you exactly where you want to be. 2x4s though, those are easy to cut. Any saw can do that pretty well. Let's get a 2x12. This is a Doug fir. So it's traditionally a pretty strong framing piece of wood. And once again, look at that killer shadow line. All the way through, you can see exactly where your cut is gonna be. Let's see what happens. You'll also notice a fairly quick break on the saw. Super clean cut, but once again, that is a lot it has to do with this blade. It's a fairly good blade, but you notice there was no degradation in power. I think that's the word I'm looking for, degradation? Sounds right. Basically, it stayed power all the way through, but once again, a fairly easy cut. Let's go ahead and put a bevel on this. I'm gonna get these out of my way so I don't cut into it. That happens, and I don't wanna have it happen on my first day of using this saw. Let me know down in the comments below, guys, how many times have you cut through your fence? I've done that too many times, kind of embarrassing. All right, let's go ahead and make a 45-degree cut. Once again, you can see with that shadow line, right where you're gonna make your cut. No loss of power again, nice clean cut. As far as accuracy goes, I'm not really at the point where I'm gonna be checking accuracy for a 2x12. I'm not really concerned probably in rough framing, but let's go ahead and let's make a couple cuts with a piece of trim just to see how it does. And we'll make a little, I don't know, like a picture box or something. That's kind of how I like to test the accuracy out of the box. We're gonna go ahead and set it up at a 22.5. We're gonna go this way. We're gonna come back this way, and this is where the nice saw Okay, so this isn't an exact, test to see quality of the cut, but if it's really out of square or your detents aren't right, you're not gonna get these to close up very tight. That's really not too bad right out of the box. You could get a nice glue up, make a little pendant or something, but hopefully that, can kind of show you that's just a straight 0 degree on the bevel and a 22.5 on the miter saw bevel. I don't know what the difference is or what you call them, but the actual lean or whatever. Now remember, you can do a 6.5 inch tall, or 6 3/4, I think, tall base trim. So you'll be able to cut straight down on your base trim, or a nested crown. You can do 7.5 inch nested crown with this saw as well. I think that's a pretty good cut. All right, now let's talk dust control real quick. Obviously, I'm in the shop. I don't want dust flying everywhere. I haven't hooked up a vac. This is just straight going into the bag. Let's go ahead and get a shot of the dust control without a vacuum, and then we'll hook the vacuum up. All right, that's without. Let's go ahead and plug the vacuum in. All right, we got the vacuum plugged in. Let's see if dust control is any better. Well, definitely as it entered the wood, you get that first initial puff, which is pretty common, but once I started making my cut, it did a pretty good job. I could probably use that indoors for most of my cutting, so that's pretty good. All right, so that is the 12-inch miter saw from Milwaukee. Now, I could do a ton more demos. I could show you a lot more stuff, but remember, this is an unboxing. I'm gonna get this out on site. I will definitely use it a lot more. Go ahead and make sure you drop comments down below asking me the questions you want answered so you don't go out and spend $850 if it's not going to serve the purpose. I would say after just this quick demo, it compares to that 7 1/4 Milwaukee that I think a lot of people do like. So if you're in love with the 7 1/4 but you need more capacity, I think this saw would be good for you. Obviously, run time, longevity, how's it going to hold up? Those things will have to come in time, and I will definitely get back there and revisit this saw. If you guys are interested, maybe put it up and compare it against the Makita 12-inch, the DeWalt 12-inch, which a lot of people love. But for now, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I'm excited to get this out on site and use it. So we'll catch you guys in the next video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and thanks for the support.